you had the chance to interact and work with the different 1G leaders, be it Mr. Lee, Dr. Goh, even later on when you were setting up IPS, what were kind of like the lessons that you learned through osmosis?
I kind of tangentially met them because I was a young academic and I was quite critical of government. But what was interesting to me was that Dr. Goh Keng Swee, in fact, called me up and wanted to meet me when my first book was published, Politics of Survival. He wanted to see who was Chan Heng Chee. I think by then he knew it was a woman, not a man. And so, my name is very neutral. So I showed up to see him. And so I saw him in the Ministry of Defense. And he just talked to me and asked me, who are your parents? What's your background? What school did you go to? I think the Singapore leadership is always very interested in Singaporeans and who they are, how they received their education, what made them the way they were at that particular age. So I answered all these questions and he nodded. He said, you published a book. I was the first Singaporean to write and publish a book on Singapore politics. That was my Cornell MA thesis, which Oxford University Press started Oxford Monographs and decided to publish it. So he looked at me and he said, you were wrong. It is, you see, I concluded that the Singapore side, the PAP, was too ambitious. We were young, ambitious. We were out to reach for the stars, to grab at the stars. Whereas Malaysia had this old leadership and they weren't used to this and they found us, knocking things around. And so it was a clash of ambitions, personality. He said, it's a race factor. He said, so it's not personalities, it's a race factor. And I would say later, I thought about it, and in 1969, it left me in no doubt that it is the race factor. Had 1965 not occurred in 1965 and we separated by 1969, we would have. So, in that sense, I did say it was race, but if I had to put emphasis, I kind of thought personality had a lot to do with it. But I was wrong.
Why 1969?
Because of the May 13 riots, where there were very deep riots. And I said the whole Malaysian polity changed, because of that. And that, Malays were saying, you non-Malays, you come, you are guests, is my country. We are Bumis. So let's make this, let's establish that fact, so your, the new economic policy, giving special, emphasizing the special rights of Malays and all, came out more prominently, and the affirmative action which built Malay entrepreneurship, yeah. So I was wrong, and he put it that way. So coming back to your question, what did I learn from the leadership? Many things. That they were curious and they were discerning. I think throughout, I felt that actually they read me right. I'm told that they said she's a critic. Actually, she's not anti-government. She's not anti-regime. I don't want to change Singapore in that way. She just disagrees with us on policies, which was true, which was what I did. And I think I was a classic liberal then, that I wanted more space for the university, more space for the intellectuals. It was about intellectual space and why are you so tough on the opposition? Those were my issues, you see. So I think they saw that was my issues. And that the one thing I would say is that when I criticize government, I was never personal. I don't criticize any one person or use language that is snarky and, If I say this is not right, I would say this is not right for this reason. I don't think our politicians mind that. What they do mind if you mock them, make fun, and infer things which they feel is not what they meant it to be. So I think I survived because of that I was criticizing directly. I was not snarky and I was not personal. And I didn't call names, so anyone name. So yeah, so that helped me. So I come to the conclusion that actually the Singapore leadership was prepared to, they tolerated, let's say someone like me because of what I said. Oh, I mean, there were some things like my promotions were slower, but it didn't bother me, You have the courage of your convictions. This is what you believe in. So you didn't go up with your cohort, so what? I find people are very upset these days, if they don't go up with their cohorts. Okay? So, but in my time, I think we all didn't place that kind of emphasis. But anyway, as I said, the sun is still shining, I'm alive, and I survived, and so that was what I learned, that they did value people, they were discerning, and they valued Singaporeans, and they could see that, some Singaporeans were out to make Singapore better, and did not mean anything untoward. But working with them personally, I think what I've learned with Lee Kuan Yew, because I saw him a lot when I was ambassador in Washington. In fact, all of them, how committed they are, how hard they worked, and how Spartan their lives were. Every moment they're always thinking about Singapore, how to do things better for Singapore. And we're really very fortunate for that.